Are you ready? 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 Are you ready? Let's go!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Adventures in Collecting, live at 5, Friday live at 5. We did it. No
Yep.
awkward, no awkward intro this time.
Yeah. My micro. I mean, we could still talk about my microphone, but yeah, we're live when we didn't think we'd be. Happy Toy Fair weekend, everybody.
Toy Fair week. We're calling this
So
our
some
official
some things
official Toy
happened.
Fair. Yeah, Toy Fair kickoff. We'll call it the Toy
Mhm.
Fair kickoff. Um, there is a lot to talk about going on in the toy industry, but since a lot of what there is to talk about going on in the toy industry still involves quite a bit of assumption,
Mhm.
we're going to focus on one thing today, and it's going to be kind of our announcement to kind of kick off our Toy Fair coverage, which of course we are going to be starting tomorrow, live live from New York.
Although
It's
I guess it
Adventures in
started
Collecting.
today.
Yeah, you did a little brunch event, little mask reveal today.
Mhm.
Go check out that video on our socials. Check out the pictures. Loyal subjects doing some cool shit, right, Dave?
Doing some great stuff. I
Um,
very
but our
excited.
the reveal that we're going to talk about today,
Is
we
another
actually
one I'm
have
very excited about.
we have a guest.
Yeah.
We have a guest for our live stream because we have a guest weekly on the show, so it might as well start having guests on the live stream.
Mhm.
Joining us from Ringside Collectibles, who just announced their unsanctioned superstars, classic superstars, modern scale road warriors. Tom Sanford, you know him best as Dramatico Rising on Instagram from Ringside, joining us to tell us all about these unsanctioned figures. And if you're joining us in the chat, if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube here, we're ready to hear your questions. So let's bring Tom in like magic. There he
Yeah.
is, and
Erik and Dave, Dave and Erik.
we're really excited to talk some unsanctioned with you, man.
Mhm.
What a reveal. I don't think anybody had this on their Toy Fair bingo card.
That's a little bit what I was hoping for. Nothing's better than I know. Everybody likes to know everything 8 months in advance, always, 100% of the time. But I think we kind of just proved there's nothing wrong with a surprise here or there, right?
Mhm.
And boy, what a surprise.
And the fact that it was just like, yeah, like you were saying, just hidden for months. Like, by the way, it's ready to ship type of
I,
that
I
was
surprise.
got I
wild.
got to tell you, bro, it's a little bit longer than months. I wanted to make sure. So definitely it's been months, but I wanted to make sure these were meeting people's like expectations they didn't know they had before they came out. Like there were by the first of all, thanks for having me on the show to talk. I'm really happy to finally you guys and I, we've been going back and forth here and there
Hmm.
for a long while, and I've known you a while. I feel like I know you in person, so it's great to get to see you in person and actually get to talk. So again, thanks for having me, and I'm
Yeah,
glad it's like the
pleasure is
perfect
ours.
Yeah,
opportunity
absolutely.
to meet up. But yeah, like it's a long time coming. Like I have wanted to. I'm not the only one. Like there's a few members of the Ringside team that were able to work on this. Like I'm managing the entire line and the projects as they go in and out. But it's not like Ringside was not thinking about this and considering this, but it really had to be kind of the perfect storm and perfect opportunity for these to come out. And part of that is making sure that they really looked good when the time actually came. And I know not too many people have them in hand yet, but I'm kind of hoping when people have them in hand, all the kind of discourse around it will go away a little bit, and people will like see in hand, like, oh, this is the actual size of these, and this is what they're like, and this is how they feel, and this is how they look next to my other figures in my collection. Like, I finally see what I'm getting here.
So that was the big thing for me with these, right? Is
Hmm.
like, one, you guys have such an outstanding relationship with, a bunch of different toy makers, whether it's Jazzwares, whether it's Mattel, whether it's the collect major brand. Like you guys have built these relationships with these toy makers to be kind of like the provider for this sector, this subsector of the action figure world.
Mhm.
You're a trusted vendor. You guys are always the first to get stuff. Your shipping is always great. You offer crazy deals multiple times of the year. You're very like, you give back to the community. You're such a big Ringside is such a big member of the community that
For
what you're
decades.
saying makes complete sense, right? Like you guys wouldn't do something that doesn't make sense. And I think the
Mhm.
first kind of big question with these, but before we go through the packaging here and the pictures and all the details and stuff,
Mhm.
is like making a decision like this to get into to carve your way into this industry, right?
Yep.
Um, what was it like weird in a way that like you don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, you don't want to put any of the other relationships that you have with like Mattel, with Jazzwares, with these other companies at risk by doing something like this. Tell us a little bit about kind of that part of the process.
Of course, yeah, it's a really good question, and I think as far as like ruffling feathers go and stuff like that, I have, I've kind of brought this up a lot. Probably a good, so I've got one in hand right here. Here's Animal. I love this head sculpt, by the way. I don't have the. So here's the other one, the variant. This is my preference. Like I like the variant over the red and black. Like I love the red and black, and I know that's like classic Road Warriors, but for me, the Road Warriors have such cool gear in so many different eras and places and locations and stuff. This was one of my favorites, like as a teenager, believe it or not. Like from like some of their matches on like the international scene. So this one is really exciting for me to actually do, and I don't have the other head right now, but this like this likeness with kind of the pursed lips of Animal. When I first saw that, I was like, okay, like we really kind of did something right here. Like we had somebody working on this that did just a bang up job. And so like this face paint with that likeness, that's my like Animal in my collection, like from here on out, unless we end up with another one or somebody does that kind of outdoes it for me. But it's absolutely dope to have like a definitive version of something that was your favorite, especially as a kid or a teenager or something, in your own collection, and to be able to have worked on it, a whole different story. But all that aside, to answer your question, I didn't have any concerns about ruffling feathers because these are not really like anything. These are the more the merrier, in my opinion, right? Like everyone should have options. I don't want to be like stuck in it was the Jack's life and that world was awesome, right? Like we had a lot of fun with all that, but one of the challenges there was like that was our only option. Like there's no other wrestling companies, there's no other style of wrestling toys. Now like you look up and down the street, you have like Jazzwares, Mattel, you have you have like a lot of the other companies that are producing things. To me, if people can like successfully do it and they're good options and they're affordable and you can have like I love having like a mixed collection. I'm not a person that's like, here's my A shelf, my B shelf, my C shelf. Like, here's like this era with all different kinds on it. Here's this era with all different kinds. Here's like the Road Warrior standing next to whoever because I feel like it today. Like, that's how I like to display figures and toys. I'm not as much like a stickler with like making sure everything goes here, there, there in that way. So, to me, the more the merrier. And I would hope that nobody would think we were stepping on their toes beyond that. If that like kind of makes sense and helps, or is there something like more specific than that you were thinking of, or like let me know what you're
No.
That makes
I think
perfect sense.
perfect sense. I think it's just one of those things, right, where a lot of people, when they see the Road Warriors, especially of a certain age,
Mhm.
present company, right? Like we think of
Mhm.
their run in WWE, we think of we
Right.
think of the Hasbros, we think of the red and black. It's on the
Yeah.
screen now, and it's one of those things where like those Mattels, those elites, are so sought after at this point. Like
Yeah.
it's been so long since they've been on the market. They're a gap in a lot of people's collections,
Yeah.
and the fact that you guys put the time and the effort in to make these scale with
Mhm.
everything,
Yeah.
is just incredible. And I mean, like just going through a couple of the pictures here, like, I mean, you look at these and, they are what you kind of picture in your head, right? Like the
Mhm.
the
But
different
kind of
likenesses, the
what you were hoping
screaming.
for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope anyway.
And to your point, you get those two really distinct looks. So you get
Mhm.
the classic look, which I think you were saying in the unboxing that you did is really from like their early '90s Japanese run, technically, right?
Mhm.
But this is what most people think of when they see them, and then the ones that with the gray are more from that kind of 1996, with the mismatched gear where Animal got the Legion of Doom on his
Mhm.
on his tights and everything. So it's really cool to have both of these variations available and kind of ready for people's collections. And I guess tell us a little bit more about the design process on this. Like, how did you choose what you chose for these in terms of articulation points, body style? Because just looking at them, having not had them in hand quite yet,
Mhm.
uh, they look like more of like a Jazzwares,
Jazzwares style.
Yeah,
unrivaled or
yeah.
unmatched style figure.
Mhm. So there's a few things that factor into it. I think when you have them in hand, you're going to see, and this is like kind of the number one thing that's been brought up over the past few days since these were announced, is like people are seeing these and they're seeing the kind of the ball joint at the waist, which of course we have, which is nice, and I know Jazzwares also uses this tech, but this is just like tech. You know what I mean? I realize that seeing this is making people think this is the exact same as a Jazzwares figure, but I have to say, like, I really wanted to make sure to avoid that with respect to size. Like, it's not a knock on Jazzwares, and this is why I've been avoiding like saying it out loud, is because like I don't want someone to be like, "Oh, Tom's saying like Jazzwares is bad and Mattel is king," and that's like not true at all. I really enjoy like Mattel figures. I really enjoy Jazzwares figures. At this point, like I've had my hands on thousands of both, and there's a little bit larger of a size with respect to scale with Jazzwares than there is with Mattel, right? And for some people, that can be like not a problem. Like for me, for example, like the Bryan Danielson figures, I love those. Like that Jazzwares has made. I think they're the ones that have done the best, in my opinion. Like Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, or whatever, and that's the one that I would like feature in my personal collection. But I know that there are people that are like, this size isn't quite exact. It doesn't match. Like, I'm only collecting Mattel, so it doesn't match. So I wanted to make sure something was kind of in between, but also with respect to like what the majority of people's collections would be. And the reality is like Jazzwares is still fairly new. All those figures, and it's a growing line. It has tons of awesome figures in it. Mattel now is like 10 years worth of figures, longer even,
Yeah.
Mhm.
even, yeah, way longer than 10 years, like what, like 15 or 16. So with that in mind, it's like, I'm thinking of people, their collections, what they have on their shelf. Like the majority of people's shelves are going to be like with respect to a certain size. So this may look like at first glance, like, oh, they're just like, I've heard people be like, this is like, they're just pulling these right from the Jazzwares factory. Someone on the boards today was like, oh, that's the same boot as, I don't know if it was this. One of them was like, that's the same boot as Sting. It's like, no, it's not the same boot as Sting. These are all new parts, like RSC Toys. That's who we are. Like all new venture, all new toy company. And if you were paying attention, like as the bell to bell figures were coming out, like RSC Toys is a logo on that
Yep.
packaging, and there's a reason for that, because it's like kind of, we knew internally it was not going to end there. Like something else would show up and something else would come. I think people are going to be very happy with the size of these when they get them in hand, with respect to the overwhelming size of their own collections and what their preferences are. And that was my kind of like number one concern with getting these done. The number two concern, of course, like when it comes to gear and stuff like that, you have a lot of different options, right? You can't use anything that's like copyrighted material. So a lot of people are like, oh, Animal has just like this straight mohawk. Like, where's his like rat tail, from WrestleMania, whatever. And like, this is what I'm expecting. And like, someone was like ragging me, like, you're doing it all wrong. Like, you're not matching. Like, okay, well, that's a WWE owned copyright image. Like, you may not
Yeah.
think like his hair is, we wanted to do our best. And to your point about like ruffling feathers of other people, like, we are not going to take WWE, AEW's, anyone's like intellectual property like away from them,
Yeah.
So we're not going to produce WrestleMania Road Warriors. We're going to produce like these Road Warriors, and thankfully it's been like an easier case here because Road Warriors are all over the world having matches
Yep.
when they were active. They've worn all kinds of different gear with different styles and different in like indie shows and like NJPW shows, like on and on and on. WWE, like everywhere. WCW, they had different gear. Like, there's a lot of options to work with that don't necessarily fall under anyone's intellectual property, and that is like how we can have and show the most respect for other companies and whoever's like making this or making that. Like, it doesn't matter that WWE doesn't have the license at this time. We still can't make their intellectual property. It doesn't belong to us. It's that simple.
Yep.
And so for us to like just copycat exactly like a WrestleMania look, it's not going to happen. But what we can do is be like, wow, this look and this version of the Road Warriors, it looks really awesome. So let's consider that as we're putting this together. Like, let's consider what we can do, with similar or the same parts, but with like variants. So I think people are happy to have like the red and black versions of Hawk and Animal is like classic and how you imagine them in your head, but like same parts, gears like pretty similar. Let's see what we can, do with some of these like international looks too, right? Like like you said, mismatched gear.
Yeah.
Like also a great look. And there's other ones out there. And we were lucky enough, to be able to start with these guys. Because our photographer, his name was Bob Mulrennan, and unfortunately he passed away before these were released. So he hasn't seen them. He never got a chance to see them. But this guy is just like one of the most like respected wrestling photographers like in history. Just did his work with his head down, like very quietly, like. But thankfully, I was like able to be friends with him because we worked together, and he had just like tons of random like Road Warriors material, like videos of matches, like photos, and we were able to pull from these to work on likenesses and gear, and we will be able to in the future also. And that type of resource is like just like a completely untapped resource for us, or maybe untapped's not the right word, but it's like there's a ton of potential there.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. And so because of that, I'm working with like an excellent designer, like all excellent designers all the way around, like not just with the likenesses, but with like the gear designs and stuff like that. And we're all wrestling fans, right? So like myself included, like them, there's nobody working on this that's like, I don't really understand this or whatever. Like, we get it, we understand it, we know what's cool about the Road Warriors and what looks best, and or what could look best rather. I don't want to like put it at the top like that, but what could look best about these, like we're thinking about it, and that's kind of how we're choosing gear. And sometimes you just, as I said, there's so many options with Road Warriors. We just kind of had to pick one and jump with it. And so it started actually talking about just these versions. Could we find like a red and black that isn't going to like violate like intellectual property or anything? And we were able to. So with that in mind, it's like, okay, hell yeah, like we're working on these, but let's get like a variant going too. And those ended up being, the kind of the main versions, and then these work out great as a variant, and there we have it. We got just out of nowhere, like two different sets of Road Warriors,
So I think you showed something when you were talking about them and the construction of them. They do pop at the waist.
Yeah,
I think
do.
that was a question that a lot of people had.
So, yep, there's the split right there. That this one's got. Keep in mind, these ones I'm playing with are like a little bit earlier production samples, but so there's like some stains on the stomach. Hopefully nobody runs into that. But yeah, it splits at the base right there, and then of course like underneath right here, you're ready to go. Like the hands, same thing. One thing, I haven't really gone too deep in any of the videos with like the hand accessories, but those are removable just like, you know, other, yeah, you can see the pin right there. Those come out. The knee pads, this is like new tech we wanted to implement. Like I was a little wary of this at first, and it looks, you know, kind of frightening and intimidating, but like they come off really easy. There's like really sturdy pegs in there,
Okay.
and you
Like
could
championship belt style.
for sure. And if you're like, just it might take you like a minute or two, but you can pop them right back on. There, I just did it in like a second. It's already back. So, and that's a new thing. Like a lot of people, I've that's the other thing. Seeing people like work with other lines and stuff like that, and collect other lines. Like I see and I know, like I've been attached to all of this for years and years and years. Like I know people have wanted removable knee pads forever, and we're able to do that here. Like we were able to do that on some bell to bell figures. Like I think some of the major figures even have removable knee pads, and so we're like, why not? Let's like see if we can continue to implement that kind of tech and those kind of molds, and we're able to do it with these. I think it'll probably be that way in the future also.
So, like, what led you to decide Road Warriors first, and I guess like what's the future release cadence gonna look like or potentially look
Sure.
like?
You know, Road Warriors, obviously, like Eric was saying earlier, big hole there, right? Like the last ones to come out were those elites. Jacks, they were pretty regularly out there. I remember that last LOD 2000 Jacks 3-pack with like Hawk Animal and Sunny. I loved that pack. That was great. That was like just when I started working at Ringside. I have like such cool memories of that. And then the elites, those were great. Like, this is like not to knock the elites either. Like, they're maybe not everyone's favorite. I don't get that at all because I think they look awesome. Like, animal size and shape is represented so well on those. And so, with that in mind, we have a lot to live up to, right? So, like, we wanted to make sure with respect to that, like, the same thing. Animal is like larger than Hawk. He's like stockier, as you can see. Like these are not the same body molds, the two of them. There's like some slight differences. Hawk's a little bit more, cut right here. Animal, obviously, they had different physiques over the years and stuff like that, but that's what we went with in developing these. And so, as far as like why we're Road Warriors first, like who better than someone that everyone has been just like dying for years and years and years, because that was like I think Elite 30, and Mattel has not had the Road Warriors license for a long time. You've seen like other Road Warriors figures produced. I think it was like for sure knowing that we're gonna come out with a line called RSC Unsanctioned Classic Superstars. Like who is more of a classic superstar than Hawk and Animal? And the license is out there. Let's go for it, and let's get them made. And we were able to do it. Sorry, and then you said after that, what was the next point you made?
What is a future release cadence?
Oh, future release cadence. So that's like a little bit trickier, more tricky of a question. So I would put it this way: the jury is still out. So
Okay.
I can't say that there won't be a situation where you just kind of one day wake up and there's like a pre-order for something.
Okay.
But I also can't say that this wasn't like a whole hell of a lot of fun to just like drop something and like tease it and be like, guess what? Like, here's the date in a week. Like, set your watches, set your expectations because something's coming. Perhaps when we have more figures in the line as time goes on, like there might be a little bit more of it, like an obvious cadence. But for now, I think like the surprise of it all is going to be a lot of fun. And what I can tell you is that there is more than enough right now, like actively in development. Like especially now that these are out in the open, I can like very clearly say that like my job has just like, even over the past couple of days, just gotten in. I already feel like I have a pretty busy job with Ringside. It's gotten like infinitely busier in the last 2 days, and the excitement is it's great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm thrilled that everyone like loves these or seems to so far. Hopefully they feel the same way when they have them in hand. But there's a lot going on, and there's going to continue to be a lot going on. And there's like names out there, there's stuff out there, there's ideas. Like, everything's just like, it's like boom. There's just so much being said right now. What I can tell you is that the next release is probably going to be sooner than later. Like, it's not going to be. I like, while I can't give you like, here's like your wave, like unsanctioned wave 15 is like 3 months from now, and unsanctioned wave 16 is 6 months from now. I'll say that like over this next like upcoming year, it's going to be pretty surprising what comes from this line, and that to me is like, just know that like within your year from now to next year, there's going to be more figures than this, and the sooner you see them, the better, in my opinion. Like, the importance of the cadence for me is number one, like quality, and number two, speed. Like, I don't want to waste any time on these. If we can figure out a good way to get them into people's hands quicker, we're going to do it. And then, as say we're doing like a ton of names, maybe then like a more specific cadence comes up. But for now, like, let's have fun with it. Let's like go with the surprises. Let's like, kind of go nuts with the fact that there's something new and exciting here. And that's the way I'm approaching it. So.
That's awesome.
Quick shouts to
Oh.
to Manny Figure Kingdom in the chat.
Manny,
what a guy! One of our favorite toy photographers out there, and frequent
Absolutely.
collaborator. We'll actually be doing our Austin 316 day collab with Manny and a couple other folks this year. So looking forward to that. So a couple questions. So you started off with this awesome 2-pack, again, with the variant aspect of it,
Mhm.
having a second look. Is the idea to continue doing 2-packs? Are there, going to be solo releases? And also, is that variant look going to be something that's consistent with each release? Like, is the idea to have like a second
Yeah.
look with each one?
I would say there's a lot of great tag teams out there, and tag teams are suited pretty well for 2-packs. Like, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
in my mind, like, affordable. I think also like the packaging turned out like just incredible
real.
for us. This is the other really awesome part. Like, a nice
And the price
like,
point.
window
And the
box.
price.
Yeah, that's really, we wanted to make sure like that was the case. Like, I saw people getting upset about the like the quick price increase at the end there, but like Ringside, like, that's always how it's been. Like, the lower the inventory, there's going to be a little price increase, and just the way that it happens. Like,
Yep.
That said, it's now on back order at the initial price, and prices can change, but like, the starting price for these was awesome. So if you were there and you were able to get a hold of it, I think it worked out pretty well for you. But this is so cool. I'm so like thrilled to see how this was done. Like, it's a lot of fun to see things done this way. So to me, a tag team is perfectly suited for a 2-pack. As far as like a single figure release, there's going to be single figure releases. It's like whether it works best in a 2-pack or a single figure is going to depend on a case by case basis. And as far as variants go, I would say it's definitely going to happen. As far as like out of the gate, like we did it with Road Warriors, I don't know if that'll be like every single time. Sometimes it might be like a little further in the future, or like if there's some type of like adjustment that might need to be made with it, or it's like, okay, we're going to do like look A, but then like look B has a little bit of different materials. So, but we're going to kind of like keep the same scan or what have you. Like, the possibilities they're not endless, but they're there. Like, there's a lot of possibilities between single figures and 2-packs. And I think it's pretty wide open on both of those. So you expect single figures, expect 2-packs, and expect variants most of the time is what I would say.
How was it around Ringside when the time hit and all of a sudden it's like the website's loading slowly?
This was a
the variant's gone already. Oh, all of them are gone.
Yeah,
Like,
Dave and I were joking around and like, oh my God, they broke their own website.
I think we have no one to blame but ourselves, right? In theory, it's a good thing. It was a little hectic for a while there, but like thankfully we were able to work it out. Like I think some people might have to wait like a couple extra months, but everyone that was like looking to get on top of this got it. Everyone that maybe didn't know about it, and found out at a later time is like able to find out and able to get them on back order. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, there's plenty of time between now and June to see what else happens or what's coming. And it was a little hectic for us, but it's like exciting because I have to say, like, I felt pretty confident about these, like that people were going to like them. Like as a figure collector and fan myself, it's like, what would I want on my shelf? With that in mind, like I really I felt pretty confident people would like them, but you don't know until it goes on sale, right? So I think the response has just been absolutely tremendous. It's like overwhelming. It's great to see that people are so into them. Like a first day sellout for something like this. What else can I say besides like just thanks to everyone? And yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling to know that that people are that excited because we don't have like some big kind of machine behind us, right? Like this, we're still Ringside's a little bit bigger than most places, but it's not like a massive toy company like kind of working through this. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and that's what makes it difficult in a lot of cases for other people, or like not difficult or what have you. It's a lot of work, and so to see that work come to fruition and people be into it is really exciting. So
I mean, it's really cool too. Like, and I think it speaks volumes to your reputation in the community is that
mhm.
you put out really a first of its kind release, right? Like it's your
Mhm.
first time
Mhm.
foray, with your foray into this scale. I mean, you've had the bell to bell stuff and everything. Um, for people to be like, I don't care. I don't need to see it in hand. Like before you guys even had the chance to post the video of you
Yeah,
unboxing them,
yeah,
they were
Yeah.
gone already. Like people were like, don't care, trust them, I'm getting them, don't care.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like sign me up. And,
That
and
yeah,
that's
cool.
really cool. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
not everybody could pull something off like that. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Mhm.
Thank you. Thanks,
And I
man.
seriously.
Yeah, and I think between your unboxing and Brian's as well, like just seeing like he's holding animal up to animal and Hawk up to the Mattel Hawk, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh yeah, they're eye to eye, and
Yeah,
the
yeah, for
Same
sure.
comparison,
height.
the shoulder
Same height,
pads are
similar
like,
height, like
yeah.
similar size, right? Like that was I want, like I said, I want to make sure that like if you're someone that really does have a shelf that
Hmm.
say you are like I only put Mattel figures on this shelf or I only put Jazzwares figures on this shelf. I wanted to make you like question your sensibilities on that and be
Right
like,
on.
could I add these to my shelf and it would look just as good with the rest of these figures? Like that's what I was shooting for. And I think I'm hoping we nailed it. We'll see when everyone, gets them and starts to add them to their collections. But
Dude, I can't wait to
that's what I
shoot
was
them with
I'm
that new
very
gen
excited.
entrance. With that, I cannot wait to put them in front of that new gen entrance and
that's gonna
light
be
it
awesome.
up and
Hey, that's something I can't do, so I can't wait to see that also.
yeah, I cannot wait. Like these two have been on my since Dave and I have started this podcast and we
Hmm.
started doing our want lists like about a year in. So we've been doing want lists for like 4 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, that we just
Every
like, oh, if you see this, like, or if
well,
you
no, I
or
mean like every year, like we want these figures to get made.
oh, okay,
I
I
see.
think I
gotcha.
think
Yeah.
we started that about a year in.
Hmm.
Every year, every year that on both of our lists, like they're that center tile right in the middle.
Hmm.
We've wanted these. So and I know obviously a lot of people in the community feel the same way because they
Hmm.
sold out instantly. But yeah, I'm just really excited, thinking about what some of the other things that you've done with Bell to Bell. Like, you just have that Sabu figure that just came out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um and he looks great.
Love those shiny gold pants, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, like the options aren't endless, but they
Mhm.
are bountiful.
Yeah, for
there are a
sure.
lot of places for you guys to go, and you know, like there are certain guys like you said, guys that have wrestled all over the world for different
Mhm.
companies. Like just thinking off the top of my head, like folks like Tajiri, Tommy Dreamer,
Mhm.
Hayabusa, you know, even somebody like Jushin Thunder Liger, you know,
Yeah.
like
Shane Douglas.
Shane Douglas.
Um,
There
Mhm.
are
shout out
uh,
somebody, Crowbar. Like,
Crowbar, yeah, is a great one. I mean, there are so many guys out there that are, you know, have been globetrotters in the industry that can, you know, basically have unintentionally created loopholes for
or
toy makers
or people that have
decades down
never
the
had
line.
Yeah,
people that
yeah,
have never had figures, you know, or have never had like a figure like this. Like,
yeah.
you know, you think of a lot of even Japanese wrestlers,
Mhm. Mhm.
Misawa,
Yeah,
Kawada, like Jun Akiyama, like you can go down the list.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I don't disagree with you guys. Like as you can see, like I feel like there's names on the tip of my tongue, but I don't want to give any wrong ideas, you know.
correct,
Hmm.
correct.
What I can say is that I'm seeing what everyone's saying. Like we have like internal lists and preferences, and like look, continue to shoot me ideas. Like my ear is wide open as this is happening. Like I see what people want, but like if you can find someone and like a match they had or like a photo of them, like hey, this is like from a just a show or a random indie show that I was at that I took this, or I was in Japan in 1990 whatever, and like look at this photo I took, or look at this like match I found on YouTube that's like this. Like all that kind of stuff is definitely helpful in consideration and just like looking to see what's out there. And I for sure have like a list of like personal priority names, and like they have to number one, of course, we have to be like connected with who or the whoever that person is or the estate of that person, to kind of make a deal for to work through these. So that's like first and foremost most important. And I think it's also important to remember as you think about this, there are just simply some people that like don't want this. They don't, maybe they don't want any involvement with wrestling or like just toys or what have you. Like one of them that I shouldn't even say that. I'll skip that one. There's someone I would like want really like that would be at the top of my list, but at the moment they're just like not interested in having action figures. And for
And
me, it's like a huge bummer because like this person is like close to the top of my list, but they're not interested, and I'm not going to knock them for that. Maybe they change their mind one day, who knows? But as of right now, it's not the case. So
and
there's always options and ideas, but you got to see what's out there, and whatever you can like bring to me and be like, this seems like a good idea. I'll be like, yeah, of course, we take that into consideration and see what happens. Like next ringside brainstorming session or whatever. What are the best approaches?
and there's one of those and we're probably thinking the same person. Like, if you know, you know,
It
and it's
probably
a
is.
bummer, but
There's
Yeah.
probably
totally
5 or 6 different people in that
hmm
zone at the moment, I think, and there's a few of them. It's and I would never name names and throw somebody under the bus because it's not a negative thing. If you don't
No,
want to
it's
do
not a
it, you
bad
don't
Yeah,
thing
want
at
to
hey,
do
all.
it.
You
It's
don't want
totally
they,
cool.
yeah.
But
I
for
mean,
sure,
look
like I'm
at
like, man, I would love that one.
I mean, look at outside of wrestling, right? Like, there's a reason why we haven't had a Jack Nicholson Joker figure, like
Right.
in
Yeah.
a normal
Oh, geez.
scale, you know?
How kind of like, speaking of that, man, I know, this aside for a moment, I know you guys got a busy weekend coming with Toy Fair. Holy cow. Like Mattel with the DC license again, and
Oh my
McFarlane.
goodness.
I was
Yeah.
just getting used to McFarlane's. Like I just got the Dick Grayson Batman, which is like one of my favorite iterate, like that whole Grant Morrison Batman run, like the Batman and Robin. That's like one of my favorite
hmm
Batman iterations ever. So like that Batman with that Robin, I was like,
With
these look
Damien as Robin,
amazing.
yeah.
They look like so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, the Damian Robin.
So
These look like so much better than the previous ones. I'm like, holy cow, this is incredible. So
here's the
I'm gonna
weird
be
thing with
sad to
that.
see that go.
Yeah.
There is a chance. So there is, I know we're kind of veering off topic here for a moment, but there is a chance that it's not going away.
Oh,
So
okay.
the DC as it stands today, like
Hmm.
February
As
28th,
we know right
2025.
now.
Yeah,
Hmm.
as factual right now. The DC license is split between McFarlane and Spin Master.
I see.
Spin Master
I see.
technically has the global license or the master license to
Mhm.
DC at the moment, which
Mhm.
allows them to make, the little figures for
Yeah,
kids
and
up
those
to,
kind of like 4-inch ones, right? That
yep,
they have
4-inch
that have
figures.
been in Target. Yeah, yeah.
We just had Spin Master on. They said that they're going to start
Mhm.
making 6-inch figures this year for the Superman movie. They're making 12-inch figures. So that's
Oh
like
wow.
the master license, right?
Mhm.
And then McFarlane has like the collectibles, like high-end license for
Yeah.
DC.
which
Mhm.
is
So
7
the
Yeah.
7-inch and collectible statues,
Mhm.
stuff
Mhm.
like
statues.
that.
I see.
So the way that the press release is currently worded is that Mattel has the global license, which to us signals that Spin Master's license is likely switching over to them in Q2 of 2026.
Ah,
According
okay.
according to the press release. What we don't know, the unknown, which we're hoping to find out at Toy Fair, is whether or not the license is remaining split.
I see. I
So
see.
we don't know. But today, McFarlane
Man,
had
you
made the
guys are
announcement.
like pro detectives. This is like
Trying, yeah.
some wheels turning. That's pretty
So
cool.
Yeah.
today, though, McFarlane announced a brand new line of Mortal Kombat figures,
Oh,
which
I
is
missed that.
which
Wow.
is Warner Brothers, which is where they got the DC license in the first place. So if they're announcing a brand new toy line, either that is going to be an extremely short-lived toy
Mhm.
line,
Mhm.
or they have the license past 2026, and
Right.
which means we could see kind of competing 7-inch and 6-inch DC multiverse style figures. So we'll see. We will be talking to Mattel and McFarlane Toys this weekend. So
No.
hopefully, we're fingers crossed. We can make no promises to anyone
Mhm.
that is watching or listening. But we will try to ask those questions and get them answered to the best of our abilities.
I'll be looking out
So,
for it. Get the
yep,
answers out of them.
yep.
Make them sit down just like me and just like talk way too much. That's what you got to do.
So we will try. We will try to dig in with Todd. But to kind of wrap things up here,
Oh,
Tom.
I was gonna ask one
Oh,
more thing.
go
Shoot.
ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there room for this to go? I know we're unsanctioned classic superstars.
Mhm.
Is there room for unsanctioned modern superstars?
Anything's possible at this point. Like, especially with a reaction like that to classic, I would say like don't rule it out. But right now, we want to establish classics and make sure you're getting as excited as possible about that. And we're having a lot of fun talking about names that are maybe like needed or missing, and kind of filling those holes, so to speak, in collections that you have. Modern, a little bit different of a story, right? Like there's a lot of, obviously we like WWE and AEW is out for us, but when someone leaves those companies or something, or if are there things to think of? I would say absolutely, definitely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's
Mhm.
stuff to think of for the future. So
I mean, there's also some very reputable indie
Indie.
brands
Yeah.
that
for
are
sure,
that get TV time and make
yeah, yeah.
waves, and
Hmm.
you got guys out there like again, I'm not putting
Yep.
anybody's name in your mouth, but you got guys out there like Joey Janela who
Hmm.
had an AEW figure announced and it got canceled,
Didn't happen. Right, right.
and now he's granted he's banged up right now, but
Yeah,
he's been in some high profile stuff. He's
yeah, yeah.
he's likely hopefully he can heal up in time to still do Sabu's final match, his retirement
Hmm.
match. But
Hmm.
you got guys like him out there, and there's again that you guys have options, and I know I'm really excited to get these in hand. After
I am.
watching your video and after
Yeah.
watching Brian's video, I'm even more excited to
Hmm.
put the Doomsday device on somebody and start taking pictures in the ring. Like I have so many things that I want to do with these figures. So remind our watchers here, where can they pre-order at this point their Road Warrior figures, Tom?
Nice and simple. Wrestlingfigures.com. The same as it ever was, right? So you go to Ringside Collectibles, wrestlingfigures.com. I saw some of the eBay scalper prices, and I like, most people know this about me. I kind of err on the anti scalper side of the world, because I you can do what you do and you can sell what you sell, but to see these like immediately in the day go up on eBay for like 150, 200 bucks, I'm like, come on, guys. Like, don't succumb to that sort of thing. Like, either wait for the back order or like swap with a friend, like keep it fun and keep it cool. Like I'm not as into scalping as some other people, but wrestlingfigures.com, that's the place to do it. They're currently up on back order right now for June. There's going to be plenty of them for anyone who wants one. So I would say like don't pay scalper prices and just keep an eye out on our social channels at Ringside C. You'll see, of course, just like you saw with these, like what the next thing announced would be. You see, we had a huge Mattel WWE image drop today, so you see.
Oh yeah.
Right. You guys saw those. You see everything new right on our social channels and on the website, right? So yeah, wrestlingfigures.com, pre-order, back order, whatever it has to be, you can get it there.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, you've waited this.
If there's a back order, like it's coming. Like
for sure.
Ringside's not going to put it up there if it's not coming.
Yeah.
And you've waited this long to have Road Warriors and LOD. What's another couple months? And
at literally like what, a fifth of the price,
Yeah.
a sixth of the price.
And Tom can't say it, but we can say it. Use code AIC when you go to wrestlingfigures.com to save 10%.
Oh, I can say it. Use code AIC when you go to wrestlingfigures.com to save 10%. Of course. I got no beef with that.
I didn't want you to show we know that there are lots of codes from our friends, our fellow bloggers. There, whatever 10% off code you use, just make sure you use it. You got a friend you got another podcast that you listen to all the time, another YouTube video. You want to use Alex West's, you want to use Matt Goldberg's, you want to use whoever's, Matt and Brian's, whoever's code you want to use.
Sure.
But get that order in. Don't pay those scalper prices, and Ringside will get you fresh and minty Road Warriors and LOD figures. We have one quick last question. I think we have somebody who was on late. At Super Game Boy Advance asks, how compatible are these with the Mattel Elites? We did go over that. These are Matt or Brian from
Brian
Major. Yeah, he had them next to each other. They are the same height. So,
I'm gonna do something that I've been like, just really, because I want to make sure it's clear that I'm not doing this because like I prefer one company over the other. But here's a bushwhacker right here, and here is an animal next to a bushwhacker, right? So
there you go.
Side comparison. We'll get those pads off so you can see like we're pretty close. Like
that's pretty good.
A thicker guy than the bushwhackers, right? This is Luke, right? Or am I crazy?
That's Luke.
Butch.
Yeah, it's
Butch.
No,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
It's Butch,
no, that's Butch. That's Butch.
Butch with the pursed lips, of course, and Luke's the one with the wild teeth.
Yes.
I knew that. But like I can't. It's hard to give like a perfect sense of scale. On screen like this, but I gotta tell you, like it's close. Like if I can even like tilt it a little bit and kind of stand them up next to each other, maybe.
So we'll say Butch is 5'11".
Oh God, it's not working. This isn't that kind of show.
Butch is 5'11" in real life. An animal. 6'1". There you go. So he's
stack the
got a couple
boxes here. See if I can do it this way.
So he's got a couple inches on him.
And he has a couple inches on him.
And he has a couple inches on him.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think, I can't remember if it was this one or one of the ones that I'm working on for the future. I had it. This is like one scoop I'll give you. I had a few prototype samples in from some of the future ones, and I was comparing them just for the hell of it, like height wise, to a Jey Uso, a Bryan Danielson, and like a Brian Cage figure, just to look at some different scale. And it was like pretty much like eye to eye with the Jey Uso, and that was an elite Jey Uso. So, it's, again, there's still new molds being developed. This is like all new tooling. I'm trying to make sure the height is like
People are going to be like Googling heights and trying to.
yeah,
get the wheels turning.
which we've never been in that zone before, but maybe we are right now. But now you can kind of see them next to each other. I swore that I wasn't going to do this, but since I'm in the AIC zone, it's happening.
No, and dude, you nailed it. I mean, like
Yeah, it's
they're
like
they're a few inches apart from each other in
Yeah.
real life, and
if I
they
was expecting somebody to be 2-3 inches short, and hair, of course, doesn't count, but
Yeah,
like that's
for sure.
pretty
No,
much
it's
spot
great.
on. Yeah.
It's great.
So that's what you got, and when you get them in your collections, and you get to see them in person, you can make your own decisions. But at the end of the day, like this is the kind of like the idea that I had in my head. Like, how's it going to match with what you already have in your collection that you really enjoy, so you can make sure that whether you keep this one forever or wait for a future release or something like that, and you swap it out, like in the meantime, it's gonna be as good as gold for you. So
Awesome. Well, you got another one in on the back order. So Super Game Boy
Oh, good.
Advance confirms he is in on the back order. So
thank you, Super Game Boy Advance.
Tom, with that, I know it is late your time. It is we have to get ready to walk the Javits Center for 2 days straight. We got to get
Enjoy.
ready for Elimination Chamber. There's a lot of things happening this weekend. There's just a lot of things. So
Nick Storm review at 7.
yeah, if you are watching this and you want more wrestling figure live stream, go head on over and watch our buddy Nick Storm. Go watch his live stream. It starts in just over an hour. Tom, thank you again so much for joining us. Good luck with this line. We're super excited to get it in hand, and yeah, thanks for answering all of our questions, man.
Thanks, Tom.
Erik, Dave, thank you both. And, obviously I'm in the AIC zone, so I will say go to wrestlingfigures.com and use code AIC to save yourself 10% on your order. I'm all about
and
that.
it'll give you a good feeling. After you put your order in, you'll say, what a rush.
He nailed it. He nailed it.
Yeah,
He nailed it. You hear
I
that?
can't close today.
Yep, did it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.